Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, boys. Training camps are just around the corner. We got some teams, rookies are showing up this week. Vikings this weekend. So football's back. 4th of July is in the rear view. Football's back. And so is Purple Daily NFL Takes. Just a little side hill for us to dish on sometimes some like Vikings adjacent things, but anything else that's on our mind around the National Football League. And this episode presented in part by Grandpa's Barbecue. That's time for some barbecue.
It's training camp season. It's football season. It's also grilling season. And our friends at Grandpa's Barbecue are making that so much easier for you. They got sauces. They have dry rubs. I was loading up some meats last week with some Grandpa's Barbecue. You can go to grandpasbarbecueshop.com. Free shipping on orders over $50. Plus, you support xeroderma pigmentosum, which is a rare genetic disorder that causes issues from UV light. So you're also supporting a great cause. Go stock up for that grilling season with our friends at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
All right, Judd, you get the honors here. You're under center for the first Purple Daily NFL Take.
All right. As promised, 5 quarterbacks on the hot seat. Now, this does not mean that they're going to be benched necessarily, but it does mean that their career could be impacted in a very negative way if they do not succeed. But before I get to the hot seat, I want to give you a few names that are on simmer right now. They're on the back burner. They're simmering. They're simmering, okay?
Honorable. You're like a third of the quarterbacks in the league are like adjacent to this list. This is great.
All right. First one on simmer. So back burner, the heat's on. It's not yet turned up on high. Caleb Williams.
Oh,
Ben Johnson comes in. There's expectations now. And I mean, that's Chicago. That's a big market.
Yeah, and they know what a great quarterback looks like, so you better be able to match up with.
But that's their expectation, right? They're like, Ben Johnson and Caleb are going to be, we've been looking for this since 1956. So Caleb, it's simmering. The next one, Dak Prescott. He missed 9 games a year ago after signing a $60 million per year contract. He is 2-5 in the playoffs, no postseason wins since 2022, never been to a conference title game. And Mike McCarthy is gone, and he is now playing for Brian Schottenheimer. Expectations. He's on simmering. There's a fire below his butt. The next one, Justin Fields, goes into the Jets. His contract is very favorable if he does not succeed in his first season under Aaron Glenn, that this could be a short ride. Justin Fields. And then my last one, the combination of Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. That combination... Again, expectations there. Anthony Richardson was the 4th pick in the 23 draft and might get beat out by Daniel Jones. And if he doesn't play well. So those quarterbacks and that one combination, they definitely have some fire at their feet, but they are not to where my top 5 are on the hot seat.
Is there any scenario where the Bears would look to draft a new quarterback in 2026?
Well, what happens... Serious question. And Thor told us he does not think that Ben Johnson's style is a suited for Caleb, okay? Mm-hmm. What happens if Caleb doesn't have a really good year? Like, let's just say he's average. Let's say he throws too many picks. Let's say he still gets sacked with a revamped offensive line. I mean, the patience there from the fan base,
it is.
It can be bad here, but there it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think on one hand, we are way too impatient as a football collective with young quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield's a great example. Geno Smith. There's so many examples. There's probably examples that never came to fruition because the guy didn't pop in year 2 and his career was basically relegated to backup status, never got the reps in practice, etc. So on one hand, you could say it's absurd that if he has anything other than a superstar season, the Bears should be looking for a new quarterback. But it is the world we live in. It is an impatient market. They have spun the wheel a number of times over the years. Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. So yeah, I think simmer. He's
not hot
correct.
But,
no.
Yeah, but if he doesn't have a good year this season, and then let's say 2026 he scuffles, 2027 he could be gone. Because his contract his contract still makes it favorable if you're going to make a change. And if Thor is right and Ben Johnson and Caleb do not basically work well together as far as QB play calling, it's going to be an issue. All right, number 5, these seats are hot. Hot as can be.
And by hot, you mean what? Like they might no longer be the quarterback of that team, or
yeah, I'm saying that I think they'll be the quarterback. Well, they could be benched. I think they'll be the quarterback of the team in 2025, but I think that there's pressure that if they don't succeed, they might be gone after the season.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Number 5, Kyler Murray. The guaranteed money in the contract that he signed in 2022 runs for 2 more years, but he was drafted by Steve Keim and the previous regime. The people who drafted him are gone. He had 21 touchdowns and 11 picks in 2024. He was 16th in passer rating. Cardinals were disappointing 8 and 9. And here's the worst part. The new Fortnite is coming out August 8th. And we all know that when the new Fortnite is out, Kyler don't pay attention to football.
It's like the second week of training camp, man.
Yep.
That's they're installing stuff.
But the fact that the people that drafted him are gone puts pressure on him. And the Cardinals, I think, are expecting to be much improved. So Kyler is number 5, and I am doing this in order of how I perceive the pressure.
Sure. So it's always tough when you have, and they already gave him a pretty big bag, right? He makes like $50 million a year, something in that range, if I recall.
Yep.
Where you've got a guy, especially when he's drafted that high, and you see the potential for what he could be. He's already really good. He's definitely like a top 15 quarterback. Sometimes he's top 10, depending on the month. But he also just has a few little quirks. Leadership. He's got kind of an odd personality. The film study stuff. Like, why are you not obsessed with watching film? You're an NFL quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Number 4.
Okay.
Tua. Now, this is based more on injury than his performance. But in Mike McDaniel's 3 seasons as his coach, the Dolphins have a playoff appearance and no wins. Tua missed a career-high 6 games in 2024, and his pay is guaranteed only through 2026. And McDaniel, as I've talked about, is on, in my opinion, a hot seat as well. If Tua does not stay healthy again and McDaniel gets fired, I think the Dolphins very well could say, Uncle Mercy, as Doogie likes to say, would you please retire or something? But I could definitely see him being out just based on the fact that the kid has to stay on the field. And remember, it's concussions too. And at some point in time, the doctors are going to say, dude, you shouldn't play. So Tua on a hot seat more based on his ability to stay healthy probably than his actual play.
Yeah, Tua, when the last 3 years with this regime, when Tua plays, they're 25 and 16. But how much can you rely on that? The other problem Miami has is whether Tua's the quarterback or many other Miami quarterbacks over the years, when they have to play in cold weather in December and January, they're pretty much screwed.
Which can't be an excuse.
And in their division, like Buffalo is the team to go get. So whether it's a regular season game, I have to go look at their schedule, or playoffs, and for years it was New England, right? Like, not that Miami was frequently playing in January against anyone, but it's tough. Like, until they find a way to crack that. Is Tua the quarterback that's going to crack that too? Is he going to go in? He's kind of smaller guy. They need like a Big Ben or like a Cam Newton, just a guy that can just plow through the snow and the conditions and the wind and not be affected by it. I don't know that Tua is that guy.
Can't make the club in a tub,
It's true.
He's been in a tub a lot, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Number 3, entering his 3rd year, ended strong. Terrible start. Got him benched at the beginning of last season. Is Bryce Young. Okay?
Yeah.
So he played the first 2 games of 2024. Had 3 picks, no touchdowns. Passer rating of 44.1. Sacked 6 times. Returned Dave Canales, who was at the time in his first year as coach. Brought him back in week 8. And from there on, he started 15 touchdowns, 6 picks, 88.9 rating in the final 10 games. Carolina goes 4-6, but they were not good. But he's going into year 3. This is a contractual thing now, because the 4th year, and then you have to make a decision on the 5th-year option, and quarterbacks don't ordinarily come back for cheap. So I think Bryce Young is on a very hot seat because, one, his coach showed before, he'll bench him. And two, if he gets benched again, I don't think you're paying him the salary on a second contract that most QBs try to get.
I had heard also with Carolina last year when they benched Bryce Young after the first couple of games and they went with Andy Dalton, that even behind the scenes, it was kind of a wrap on Bryce Young, that it hadn't clicked yet. There was just some pressure to get someone in there that could operate the offense at just a faster pace. And then Andy Dalton has like an off the field injury. Something happened. Car accident. Yeah.
And he got in a car accident with his family.
And and there was even like teams had called on Bryce Young too, that they could have pulled the trigger on a trade, and they just kind of sat on him for a little bit.
Right.
And then the Dalton injury happens. Bryce gets back in, and after like the first game or two, he starts. They kind of change the play calling a little bit. Their first reaction was, oh, he's getting pressured and he's having a hard time. So let's just like shorten the passing game. And of course, then the defense has you. Okay, so you're not going to take chunks down the field. We know what you're going to keep everything kind of within 5 or 10 yards. But they started hunting down the field, and they had leads on Kansas City and the Eagles in the fourth quarter. So I don't know. But yeah, like if he struggles, they're going to move on to somebody else, I'm sure. But there was a lot. They went from almost being out internally to, okay, we see a vision for what this guy could do going into 2025.
Yeah, he's got big time pressure now. Like from day one, he's going to be expected to, starting this season, earn his next contract.
Yeah.
And I also feel like teams are at least a little bit more now starting to question that. Like those second contracts are huge. And for a while, it's just like, oh, here's 52, here's 55. I feel like teams are starting to like at least monitor that. So Bryce Young is 3. Number 2, because he's essentially signed to a 1-year contract, is our guy, Sammy Darnold. That seat is hot. That seat is first day on the job. That seat is very hot. So he was guaranteed $55 million. It's technically a 3-year, $105 million contract. The reality, it's really a 1-year contract. The Seahawks in the 3rd round took quarterback Jalen Milroy, who they supposedly like a lot as well. And Darnold sort of put himself in the jackpot a little bit here. I don't blame him for taking the contract. He should have. But Mike McDonald is a defensive guy. He's his head coach. And his OC is Clint Kubiak, who's fine. But we're going to find out exactly what, and I would not be surprised if it meant a lot. We're going to find out exactly what Kevin O'Connell meant to Darnold's development. I mean, Darnold in that, back-to-back or back-to-back-to-back, the game against the Jets in London and then that debacle in Jacksonville, he was awful. And I feel like O'Connell got him out of that shell. And yeah, the last 2 games were bad, but I mean, he got him back on track. There were a lot of, I think, buttons that O'Connell pushed that I don't know that good old Clint can. And when your coach is a defensive guy, your head coach, you're not going to be coddled as much. So Sam Darnold's my second.
So how much did he retain from quarterback rehabilitation school to just be out living on his own now?
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
he wash his own clothes?
I feel like he needs the program possibly.
He might have. Maybe he has to go back for a tune-up at some point. I'm not sure, but he's got enough money to pay for another run in QB rehab school if he needs to.
All right.
And then number 1,
numero uno, is Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars.
Yeah.
So he is playing, I mean, this is ridiculous. He is playing under a 5-year, $275 million extension that includes $200 million in guarantees, and the contract goes through 2030 and includes a no-trade clause. But for all of that, he was 15th in QBR last season at 59.5. He played in only 10 games because of a concussion and a shoulder injury. Doug Peterson's been fired because he couldn't get the max from the team or the quarterback. Liam Cohn, who is a very unusual dude, I think. He was Baker Mayfield's OC last season, comes in as coach. Now, Lawrence in his career did have a very successful, I think it was his second season, 2022 Pro Bowl. So there's something there. He was drafted as, I thought this at least, a potential generational talent. But if you bring in another coach and Trevor Lawrence is not the man, to quote Phil back in the day from his Carl Anthony Towns. Write that down. If Trevor Lawrence is not the man, you got problems, and you might have to start to look for an exit plan of some sort. So Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, Bryce Young, Tua, and Kyler Murray. The seat is red hot.
You know, you listed 10 names if you include both guys with the Colts.
Yep.
And while some people probably see 10 names that are, damaged goods or on the verge of failing, I see 10 candidates to enter quarterback rehabilitation school in 2026. Put it this way, if Judd's list is correct here, if J.J. McCarthy does struggle, there's 10 guys here that you could trade for, you could sign if they get cut.
That's great. A good point, too. So I didn't include anyone who was going to be in their first season of starting.
Okay, it's like J.J. McCarthy.
I didn't include McCarthy. I mean, he could technically be on a hot seat, but if you're in your first year starting, who knows?
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson's my guy for the eventual QB rehabilitation.
I could see Bryce Young too.
Interesting.
I could see Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. I feel like Declan and I might collaborate on this next NFL take here in some ways. We both were watching the first 2 episodes of Quarterback Season 2 on Netflix. And I don't know, we did a little thing on Kirk Cousins on Feedback Friday on Purple Daily because people had a bunch of thoughts on it. And I thought, that's probably the last time we talk about Kirk Cousins for a while. No. And then I watched more of Netflix's Quarterback docuseries. And my take is the first episode alone, if you just single that out, is a greatest hits album of everything that's deplorable about Kirk Cousins, the quarterback. I mean, this guy, before I get into a little mini list here that I compiled, this guy has brilliantly pantomimed as a supposed high-end starting quarterback in the National Football League for over a decade without producing any meaningful team success, all while raking in over $300 million in career earnings. He puts on this aw shucks personality, this sort of, gosh golly personality, but underneath the surface, and it's all proven in the first episode of this Netflix Season 2 quarterback series. He's greedy. He's calculated. He's wildly insecure for a guy that you just gave the keys to the franchise to. It's like, bro, can we get a little more confidence in the system here? He's also sneaky toxic. So in the first scene, so they go through the other 2 quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and then Jared Goff, very interesting characters themselves. And then they get to the Cousins thing, and they go back to the Achilles tear in Green Bay. And this is a direct quote from Kirk. So what are you thinking, Kirk? You just tore your Achilles tendon. He tells the story about he was on the sidelines. The team doctor ran his fingers for less than a second over the Achilles and said, it's dead. It's gone. Sorry, your season's over. And Kirk said, quote, I'm thinking to myself, what does this mean for the next several months? With my contract in Minnesota expiring after the season. He's literally sitting on the sidelines, laying on a medical table as a team that's been on fire up to that point and is dominating Green Bay, a team that won a playoff game a few years before, right? Like, you got your new head coach in here. You're coming off a 13-win season. And his thought isn't, damn it, I thought we had a real chance to make a run and win a Super Bowl. His first thought is, my contract's up in a few months, and how is this going to impact the money in the bag that I get? They all then, of course, adjacent, Netflix put together like a montage, a Kirk sort of rehabbing montage. And they had a visual. I'm not sure if you guys recall seeing this, but the visual was like a Rocky IV montage with, like, instead of Rocky grabbing the Ivan Drago newspaper clipping and crumpling it, it's a calendar checking off dates until like March 13th, and it's circled NFL free agency, which is Kirk's Super Bowl. If he has a calendar, he's not circling the actual Super Bowl. It's the circling of the free agency start date. So then he's laying out the decision, quote unquote, between the Falcons and the Vikings. And there's zero talk about which team can win more games, which team, as I'm making this life-altering decision late in my career, what are the factors that matter to me? Not one peep about winning, competing, or who can win a Super Bowl. He said, quote, I didn't want to leave Minnesota. We wanted to be in Minnesota, but it became clear that we were going to be there year to year, and that's what we didn't want. The Falcons made a longer commitment, meaning more guaranteed money, by the way. And he said, okay, you made my decision really easy. Again, he did not factor in that the Vikings are much better and that would give him a better chance to win a Super Bowl. He only factored in the amount of money, the bag that he was being given to by the Falcons and the Vikings.
Yeah. And that when he said that, that's the wrong question. Like, even that's just so narcissistic. And God, I am so glad we have moved on from this. Like, I can't tell you how happy I am. He never talks about wanting to win a Super Bowl. You see that with Burrow and even, Jared Goff, and I have now fallen in love with Jared Goff. I've liked him. He was just kind of like okay for me in terms of a personal scale.
You guys laughed at me 2 years ago.
I did. I love Jared Goff. Has an awesome personality that I had no idea existed. I had no idea. He went to Detroit. They thought his career was dead, and he basically saved that city. He revitalized his career. I think this happened in episode 3 because I was watching half it last night before dozing off. He basically like called out Tom Brady for when he said, anyone could play quarterback in this offense. And Jared Goff claps Tom Brady, which is awesome. I love that personality. Kirk, dude, oh my God. And the whole thing of, they made their plans to draft a quarterback, so we wanted to stay here. Well, you can't. You are so insecure at 36 years old that all you care about is the bag and not the fact that there might be a guy behind you one day. Well, dude, you're 36. You're not 27 years old. There's going to be a succession plan in place. So, you were misled. Oh, my God. I can't.
Okay, the misled thing was also on my list. So, this is all in the first episode. That he's ranting about how, and it's his own way of ranting. It's never like freaking out, but it's like he's on a rant about feeling misled and annoyed by the Falcons and the Vikings looking to draft a quarterback. And I guess my response back to him would be, bro, you're 36 years old, coming off a torn Achilles tendon. The 2 biggest wins of your football career are one playoff win 6 years ago and an Outback Bowl win in like 2012. So you don't get to dictate what's happening here. Teams are going to look to replace you. It would be foolish if they didn't draft quarterbacks behind you. The other thing, he was complaining incessantly, both on the documentary, like as he's being interviewed, and in the clips at practice on the sidelines, about the Falcons' offensive system. Namely, how many pre-snap motions they have that are hard. He counted, to prove a point, 45 different types of pre-snap motions. And he counted them not to say how awesome and innovative and confusing their system could be if implemented the right way. It was to complain about it. So they showed the week 1 fumble against the Steelers, where he's supposed to set the tight end in motion, then do the leg up to call for the snap, right? He mixes it up backwards. The ball gets snapped right into the tight end in motion. Steelers pick it up. They go on to win the game. And on the sidelines, Kirk is over there whining to anyone who would listen. I knew this was going to happen. There's too many things. It's too many emotions. I like all throughout the week of practice, this, that, and the other. So just like, rather than either studying the system that you might be joining before you sign, but that doesn't matter to you because all you care about is the money, or number 2, maybe owning the system, learning the system, teaching the system then to other young players because you're a 36-year-old quarterback. He passively aggressively pollutes the room of his own locker room by complaining about the system. And it's like just like with the Vikings. The first year is like, it's a new system. I couldn't possibly, right? Well, we can implement the code words in the second year, and maybe we'll be okay in the second year. And then I'll just, like, the last thing, and then I'll be done here, is he even had to sneak a Great Clips plug-in. He literally, like, leveraged, clearly, Great Clips endorsements in the Netflix series where they're showing this backyard baseball game between him and his family, and he looks at his kids. He goes, "Love the haircut, bud. Great Clips did you right. Great Clips has been Dad's go-to for 2 decades."
And then he goes to Cookout, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I was at the Falcons game." Oh, and then he's trying to order the Cookout burger that he clearly has never ordered before.
She goes, "Do you play for?" She catches on like, "Are you trying to tell me that you play for the Falcons?" And he's like, no. It's like, dude, shucks. I'm just
so
Kirk.
glad.
No, it's actually the wrong question. I want to stay there.
God, dude.
Oh man.
But Jared Goff's awesome. Joe Burrow's awesome. I like both
awesome.
those. Both those dudes.
For sure. Yeah. Judd, thanks for sitting through our TED Talk.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Seen it all before. We talked about it for a long time. This is who he is.
It took the Falcons and their fans 6 months to realize, by the way.
Yep, which happens sometimes,
Took
too.
6 years here to realize.
Well, that's what I was going to say is we could have a whole discussion about the Vikings not addressing it, but they didn't. It's over.
So I think
Cool.
that's the last time we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins for a little while. We'll see. Until he's the backup quarterback behind J.J. McCarthy after the Falcons cut him training camp. It'll be great. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Purple Daily.